Hey, hi. This is the first of a couple devlogs that I wanted to put out, maybe like 2 weeks ago, but I just haven't had time with work lately. There's not much to showcase in this one, but basically, what the only thing I wanted to show is a different way of handling ranged threats for most monsters actually. Like this is not really something that we're going to keep exclusive to MVPs or like bosses or anything like that. It'll probably not replace every single way of threatening range attackers, but it's definitely going to be a thing that it's more common. It's called multicast. As you can see right now, it's not doing anything. Basically, that's because the what this does is like it reads the area, right? And it doesn't target anyone unless they are further than a fixed amount of distance, right? In this case, we're looking at 6 tiles of distance that you can be before you get targeted with it, and it has a very large sight range for just for actually aiming at enemies. So now once the character has been resurrected, you can see that the monster is continuing its routine, but multicast is sorry, a multicast is a bit of a stupid name, but like it's a play on words between multitasking and multicasting, right? And this is what it's supposed to do. Like it just lets the monster continue its routine, and at the same time, it lets us have like a fair threat for characters that might otherwise not be challenged by anything at all, right? We can all probably agree that there's a lot of challenge going on for melee classes in Mythos. Let's say they are challenged enough, yeah, that's for sure. But balance aside, like numbers aside, there's a systemic issue with it where you just don't have any tool to aim at range characters. Like if you're using Magnum Break to attack a tank, right? I mean, you're threatening any melee DPS that's standing there, but Wizard's not gonna give a shit. Sniper's not gonna give, like it's not gonna give a fuck. So you're just placed in this situation where, like, in order to challenge these characters, you have two tools available. One is just place, you see this red square, right? And you just make the red square take up the entire screen, like it happens with like a couple MVP mechanics, and you create like a safer zone that is close. And that way you are actually only mostly targeting range attackers, but you can't really use that as a main threat. Like it doesn't make any sense. So what this enables us to do is this character is apparently about to die. But yeah, so it creates a situation in which you have some amount of challenge, right? Like, like you wouldn't like to be targeted by all this stuff all the time. But, it wouldn't be this spam either way, most likely, in most scenarios anyway. But what this does is it replaces the currently existing. Oh, you can see here that it's attacking the it's attacking the NPC. That's because I was testing something with like random targeting, which is a part of this as well, so that you can't just have like a lightning rod character sitting, say, like here, and have that one be the one that gets targeted all the time. Sometimes it will target not the furthest away, which is like its main target. It will instead go for the ones standing, the ones that are standing like further than 6 tiles. So for example, right now, no one's getting multicast upon. But yeah, the reason to do this, I probably shouldn't explain it at length. It's just that the AI prioritization is a bit weird. And even though the baseline for AI is rather simple, it's just like a set of instructions that is read top to bottom with like a lot of easily definable like just DLEs that you can put on every skill, right? For some reason, and I think there are good reasons to do this, but like I just don't like the effect of it. For some reason, when you have the skill that is conditioned to, for example, trigger when the mob is like long range attacked, or trigger when it is cast target and stuff like that, those will take priority over anything. So they will happen before combos, they will happen in the middle of combos, they will break combos, they will sometimes make the mob do nothing, they will sometimes make the mob stay in a status that is meant to be temporary, but surprise, surprise, it's not temporary now because it never got, never got finished. So now it's just, the monster is unkillable. That happened a lot. And that's how I discovered that as I was testing in group compositions, the MVPs that were made before. So this was the solution that I came up with. It's one of the first skills that I've implemented, and I feel like it serves its purpose. Like it just lets the monster do its stuff. It lets us aim without. It lets us aim and like have a honestly, I think, quite fair window of response for the player. So I mean, like this is not like a Twitch shooter. This is not like a game where like reflexes make like a huge difference. But it's and also there's a lot of like potential lag and ping and whatever like to account for people playing from all over the world. So you can't really have like attacks as there are, for example, currently in Rachel, that are just like 800 milliseconds if they are supposed to be like one shots that you're meant to dodge, right? If it's supposed to hit you anyway and maybe sometimes you get out of it, then sure. But like if it's something that you get hit by, and you just go straight to the floor, like lava flow or maybe axe tornado sometimes, it just doesn't make sense to have it run that way. So this is the current solution for it, and I feel like this will be applied very commonly across the game. It works with any kind of attack. It works with like Hammerfall. It works with, I don't know, Hammerfall and Lava Flow are the only ones that come to mind right now, aside from like spells like Earth Drive and stuff like that. But and obviously there are like not single, but I mean yeah, they are single targeted. But I mean like targeted skills that are more, you won't be able to dodge them unless you get out of LOS or unless you hide or stuff like that. Or the monster is controlled, which is absolutely, something that can be done as well. There's not much more to really show here. I know I said this was, I mean, I'm not sure what there's going to be in these development logs or like how common they're going to be, but the idea is just that we have an amount of transparency going on with the game. I tried to have it already, but it's well, it's challenging because sometimes you have more time than others, and sometimes you want to respond to certain things, but there's just not enough. That just takes time away from other stuff. So this right now, I'll explain this in the announcement probably because this needs to be much more clear than just part of the rambling in the video. But this right now is the closing part of me working on content. We're halfway through, a little bit more on current amount of content that needs to be implemented. And frankly, it's a lot. It's a lot of bosses. It's a lot of, well, not a lot of areas. It's a couple areas, but it's a lot of enemies in general that are added. And I feel like it's just a good place for it to stop. So what I meant to do like 2 weeks ago after I finished this like AI expansion thingy was just to begin work on balance and just miscellaneous fixes that need just mechanics that need to be implemented and a lot of client things that are missing, from animations to plays to sprites to just a lot of things that have been in the back burner for a while. But yeah, I just haven't had time like these past couple weeks. I'll try to have just more of these things going up, if there's anything to show anyway. Like, for example, the next thing I'm going to do, since it's going to be a little bit demanding, and I want it out of the way before the patch is done, is I'm going to be working on the loot diversification so that areas have more of a loot identity and we can more easily reward the player for playing, like in different places through the dynamic pricing system. it already kind of works, especially now with like a little bit less players. You can absolutely find a lot more items that need to be, that can be sold at a higher price. But the issue still remains that many areas share a lot of loot that needs to be changed. A lot of miscellaneous new items need to be implemented probably. And what else? And there's also like a lot of like little things that need to be curated out of the list. They need to be, list in general needs to be sanitized a little bit. So that's probably going to take a couple days to get done. But that's the plan for now. The plan right now is just to work on, sorry. The plan right now is just to work on balance first economy wise, then on a character level, then finish up mechanics where possible. Like obviously I don't mean to extend this patch forever, but like the bug fix inside of it still requires a little bit more time. As you know, Insomnia hasn't had much time lately, but and well, frankly, neither did I like these couple weeks. But yeah, that's about it. I'll try to keep things. I'll try to keep progress more visible than just through the roadmap, where it's just a number, where you don't really know, like, oh, look, it's 1 out of 8. And like, 2 months later, it's 1 out of 8. Fine, sure. It is 1 out of 8, that's for sure. But hopefully it won't stay like that for long. Well, that's about it. I hope you find the system interesting. I quite like it. And I think it'll be very useful for different ways to just provide interaction for like different character types. It's just a very basic necessity of the game that just because you are the guy that attacks, like you both applied like 20,000 damage, and maybe we can like increase melee damage to, like to be, 50% higher than range, but there's still going to the massive draw of the range attackers just doing a lot of damage, like because they have to stay competitive, they have to stay viable, and they just do it from range. They do it without being, ever threatened by anything. Well, as you can see, this, for example, would allow a mob to notice that there's enemies in the distance as they are closing in and just fire at the furthest away ones, even if that doesn't mean that, you're gonna get smoked by a meteor immediately as you're approaching the mob, but it does mean you'll probably have to rethink where you stand, right? You'll have to move out of the fire. And in fact, that's already like good enough. It's already a significant improvement from what there was, and we can definitely work from there. There is a subset of multicast skills which are well, like I'm not really going to showcase here, but like this one, for example, is multicast range, so it has like a safe area that is like 6 tiles around the mob where you won't get targeted, and then you'll target like anything on a defined search range that is basically the skill level, so that people can actually see it when they look at the AI entry in the database. Other than that, there's like the inverted, where it targets the closest and doesn't target further away ones. There is like a random one where it just targets whoever. Random ground, where it just like places a lot of shit all over the screen. A couple where it just makes patterns, so it'll draw like a pretty little star or something like that. That's a bunch of stuff. But even though like those are very cool and fun to play with, I just wanted, the main draw of doing this was just being able to hit this guy. To hit this guy without dropping, the monster's behavior for like 4 seconds, and without just placing like, oh, by the way, you were like in any animation, like, and you couldn't move during like the 800 milliseconds that we gave you for this. Okay, now you're just dead, right? It needs to feel fair for both, for all players involved. And well, I know that right now it doesn't feel very particularly fair for melee, but hopefully we'll be able to, to improve it with this and with other things. So that's about all I wanted to say here. I haven't kept track, but it's that's 15 minutes, and that's probably good enough. So yeah, I hope you guys have a nice day, and I hope you found this interesting. I'll try to keep things moving as they have until now. Right, bye bye.